Story 1. Am I the a-hole for yelling at my girlfriend to stop fracking eating? My, male 26, sister, female 23, run a bakery business, and she's been struggling lately to keep up with the orders because she's been short-staffed. She does a lot of orders for wedding cakes that require custard or marmalade fillings, and I offered to help her out by making these fillings at home and bringing them to her so she has less work to do. Unfortunately, the past 4 times I made these fillings, my girlfriend, female 24, has literally dipped her fingers into the filling jars and contaminated them because, in her words, she just wanted to try some. I've tried explaining to her that she can't dip her fingers in and contaminate the entire batch because then I have to remake it. I said she should use a spoon and take some out if she wants to try so bad, but she just pouts and says that she likes using her fingers because it takes her back to her childhood. Today, I was trying to finish some chocolate custard to send it over to my sister really fast because she was running late on a wedding cake order for an important client. I told my girlfriend beforehand to not eat the custard. And if she really wanted to, please use a spoon. I get out of the shower, and what do I see? She has her fingers in it again. I totally lost it because this is the 5th time she has blatantly disregarded what I said. And I yelled at her and told her to stop fracking eating the food I'm making because it's not for her and she's contaminating it. She started crying and got mad at me for fat-shaming her even though I made no comment on her weight and she has no history of weight issues or eating disorders. I know I was harsh, but she kept pushing my limits. Am I the a-hole? I can understand the anger, really. You've told her several times, and this is part of a business. You're trying to help your sister out, and this is part of something that she's doing to keep herself afloat. This girl is messing with this woman's money, and she's just really blatantly just doing what she wants to do. Maybe not yell, but show her that you are very frustrated at this. And I'm having a hard time finding any fault in being angry with her. Maybe not yell, keep your composure, but not quite the a-hole. Story 2. Ended my mother-in-law's career after she ruined our lives. Context. I posted a bit about my fiancé's adoptive mother, Susan, in the last couple of weeks. But for anyone unfamiliar with Susan, she was my lecturer when I was at university. Susan hated that I was dating her adopted son, biological nephew, since she found out about us. When we first told her we were dating, she tried to unalive me via allergy. Another story for another day. And after she found out I was pregnant, she stalked us, impersonated me, and broke into our flat, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. She made our lives hell, to the extent where we no longer feel safe in our own home, and my fiancé and I had to move across the country to escape her. We've been living in our new place for a little under a week. The baby is due in a couple of months, and everything is mostly ready. We've deactivated our social media, created new emails, and changed our numbers. Only a few friends and relatives from the town she lives in, which we left, have our new numbers. We've had to leave our entire lives, and everyone we knew and loved behind, while I was 7 months pregnant because we couldn't trust her around our baby. Revenge. On Monday, an email was sent from the dean to Susan's graduating students saying Susan was being considered for a promotion, from lecturer to head of department, and they wanted to hear from her students first. The aim of this was to receive glowing recommendations to give to the board. This was not the result. As I changed my email, I hadn't seen this. One of my friends, who had my new number and was on the course with me, did see the email, and on Tuesday, he gave my new number to the dean, saying that he would only give her the number in person, on paper, and only if she agreed to ring when she was alone and throw out the paper and erase it from the logs after. If she was calling from a university phone, then the number would go on the call logs, that were accessible by all members of staff. But he assured her that this was something she'd want to hear before promoting Susan. So I got this call from the dean on Tuesday. She told me what was going on. My friend hadn't had time to get in touch before she rang. And she asked me why my friend thought I should speak to her. I told her everything. I started 2 years ago when I met Susan's son, the man who would become my fiancé and the father of my child. I told her about Susan poisoning me via allergy after finding out about me and her son, and the EpiPen incident. I told her about the outside of class harassment I received post-pregnancy announcement, impersonating me, crashing GP appointments, breaking in, etc. I told her about the in-class harassment, telling me to break up with my fiancé, stopping lectures until I left, throwing out my food and drink, trying to reschedule exams, and more. I told her about the last time I saw Susan in person, when she tried to hit me while I was 7 months pregnant with her grandchild. I told her about having to move away. I was careful not to give a location or distance, and filing a restraining order to escape Susan. I thought the uni were made aware of the restraining order, but apparently not. Fiancé then arrived home from work, and when I told him what was happening, he was all too eager to chime in with stuff that I forgot. Copying keys, punching the landlord, canceling orders, going through our things. He also told the dean about the abuse he had got from her growing up. We also gave the dean the names of people willing to support our story, as well as some dates, times, and locations of on-campus incidents. I'd made a note of a few of them, so she could pull the CCTV from the campus security recordings. Fiancé also told her the story of one of his cousins, Susan's bio kid, who got close with a guy on Susan's course, but the guy was told to break up with her by Susan with a thinly veiled threat against his academic career. We also told the dean about Susan telling me to break up with my fiancé and vice versa so she could better maintain professionalism. The dean was horrified. She had me and my fiancé record a video where we said everything all over again from the top. We made sure the video had nothing to identify the location, and we were assured Susan would never see it. We also sent her all the proof we had alongside it. This was all forwarded to the board on Wednesday and Thursday. She asked my friend for the number again and just called me for the second time, telling me that the board unanimously agreed that this was grounds for Susan's dismissal. They said that while the outside of uni events weren't really their business, they go towards her character, and the fact that as department head, she would represent the department, whether she was on the clock or not. They said even without this, the events that happened inside of uni, stopping lectures, telling me to dump my fiancé, telling that other guy to leave her daughter alone, throwing out my stuff, seeking special treatment on grounds of nepotism, were all abuses of power and enough to justify Susan's dismissal. They asked me why I hadn't filed charges, and I said all I'd gained from filing charges is Susan staying away from me, and the restraining order and moving away has the same effect. Plus, as it's exam season, my tutor work is really taking off, and I don't have the time to go through a whole court case. And I'll even have less time once the baby arrives. The baby is due in about 8 weeks, and Susan has already caused me enough stress. Tomorrow, in the meeting where Susan is fully expecting to be told she got her promotion, the dean is now going to give her a week to hand in her resignation. If she refuses, she will be fired. If she does not hand in her resignation, she will be fired. She will not be getting a reference. The only reason she's being given the option to resign is that she has worked at this university for nearly a decade. But if she raises her voice in the meeting tomorrow, she will be fired. Security will be present for the meeting in case she tries anything. Meanwhile, the friends we left behind aren't hesitating to tell anyone who will listen all about what Susan did during the course of mine and my fiancé's relationship. There's not a single soul left in that town who trusts her or will take her side if she tries to fight back. Not even her husband, who told us that now all their kids are over 18, he will be initiating divorce proceedings. I don't even feel a little bit bad. I know there's a chance I went too far, but I didn't lie or embellish everything. Anything. I just gave the dean the facts as they are. Everything is 100% true, and while it was me who told the dean, I see this as Susan's actions having consequences. Susan has more than enough money to pay for herself for the foreseeable future. She owns her home. Her husband's name is not on the deed, and she bought it before they got married, so she will get the house in the divorce as it's not technically a shared asset or one acquired during their marriage. She'll have a roof over her head and money in her bank account. And if she wanted, she could get another job. Just probably not one as a lecturer. Again, all of this is just coming to a head. How far was this woman thinking she could get away with all this? She probably thought she was bulletproof at this point, and just awful behavior. And the husband, oh man, I feel for the husband who put up with all this behavior and is only now going through divorce proceedings. And I just shudder to think what he had to put up with. Story 3. Creepy neighbor thinks he's my new boyfriend. I am a mid-20s female. I bought a house with my ex-boyfriend out in the sticks of Kentucky about a year ago. Not terribly long ago, he cheated on me and abandoned our home to be with his new girlfriend. So I own this property and live here by myself. One of the people that lives in the house, multi-generational home across the pond is a 21-year-old male. He has been watching my house and saw that my ex isn't here much anymore. So he came down about 4 days ago, and we're having a regular old friendly neighbor conversation about the guinea keats I was getting from him. Guinea keats? Not sure what that is. Then he gets creepy. I made the mistake of telling him my ex and I broke up, and he instantly started asking very personal questions. He asked to take me to the movies, if he could come over and watch a movie, to go fishing, to go shooting, to hang out. I said no to all of these, explaining first that I am not interested in dating or hanging out, that he's my damn neighbor and that's weird, and that I'm seeing people. He continues to insist. I tell him flat out no, and that I can be his neighbor, and that's it. Make an excuse to go inside. I go to a friend's house for a few days and notice he drives past my house 10 times in a 2-hour span on my security camera every night. I keep my doors closed and locked. Yesterday, he decides that no means yes and comes to my door asking to come inside. That he just wants to talk about the guineas and that he has a Rambo DVD for us to watch. I only have the door cracked a bit, and I tell him 5+ times that I am in the middle of something, that I'm busy, and that he needs to leave. I'm ticked, so the final time he tries to insist, I slam the door on him and lock it. Any legal advice for this? What would you do? So far, I know I'm going to be video recording any interactions he attempts with me from now on and keeping my gun loaded and close by. But I know trespassing is a sticky law, even in Kentucky. I don't have any trespassing signs up at the moment. I'm also putting my house on the market this Saturday because I'm just done and want a fresh start considering everything that's going on in my life. But I will be at the house a lot while it's on the market. And that's awful that you have to go through this. And just having to sell a house, I mean, in a lot of places, that's almost unheard of. You put too much of an investment in it. And just to get away from someone in this market, if it's that desperate, then I'm sorry. But I really hope there would be a way that you could deal with this person and have someone on your side. It's a multi-generational home. What does the other family think? Is there anyone else that lives at that other place that you could get on your side? And I can't offer legal advice. Maybe someone else can help.
Please like and subscribe if you've made it this far. I hope you'll enjoy the rest of the video and have a wonderful day.
Story 4. Won't move your patrol car to let the ambulance out? I'll let your sergeant deal with you. This happened around the 4th of July. There was a small fender bender and emergency services got called out. My towing company sent me out by accident, not realizing the flatbed at the scene could tow both vehicles. There was one ambulance and 5 police cruisers, 3 cruisers blocking the road, 1 directing traffic, and then the a-hole who showed up after the scene was secured. A-hole felt the need to park his cruiser crosswise diagonally in front of the ambulance. Not necessarily blocking the path, but if anyone has driven an ambulance, they are a pain to reverse around obstacles. The emergency medical technicians asked the a-hole to move his cruiser, and he literally said, "When I'm ready," and resumed chatting with the cop directing traffic. Another cruiser shows up, and it's a sergeant who knew me and the company I work for. He goes off to deal with the scene, and the emergency medical technicians rush to him to talk to him about moving the cruiser. I see his stomping in my direction, and then walks to the cruiser, and the door was locked. He called for the cop that pulled in front, and he either didn't respond, ignored, or wasn't aware his superior was there. He looked ticked. He reached for the radio, but then he looked at me and asked what my drop fee was. 5 minutes go by, and he waves to me to get the cruiser. So I line up and sting it and drag it out of the way, and the ambulance drivers waved and left the area. He told me to keep the cruiser hooked because he wanted to teach this a-hole a lesson. He walked over to the cop directing traffic and alerted him that he was getting towed. He rushed back and demanded I put the car down and that it's not a funny joke, but I reminded him that all tows are fair in the county if the car is illegally parked. He looked at the sergeant, and the sergeant reminded him that the ordinance extends to emergency vehicles. Had to look this up, it's not. He tried to negotiate to 40, but my drop fee is 100. He hesitates, but he pulls 5 20s from his wallet, and I put the cruiser down. He got in his cruiser, and he did not look happy as he pulled away. The sergeant burst out laughing and said that kid needed that. He told me he's only been on the force less than a few weeks, and he was acting like he ran the place as if he was the sergeant. We shook hands, talked about work and Hot Wheels, and off I went, $100 richer. Oh, so glad the sergeant was on your side. Hopefully you don't run into any issues with this policeman later on, because it now seems like he might have some excuses to pull you over and just start recording those incidents, and you've got a case of intimidation against him. But yeah, hopefully he learns a lesson, hopefully. Story 5. Would I be the a-hole for not attending my twin brother's surprise birthday dinner when I was only invited as a guest? So, I'm a twin. My brother and I hang out all the time, and we're super close. In a few days, it's our 25th birthday. We share the same friend group, and we're all really close and have been since school. He has a close group of girlfriends, about 5 of them, whom I've always known for many years. I would class them as being closer with him in recent years, but we're all still good friends and socialize often together. Now, I've been added to a group chat labeled My Brother's Name Surprise Dinner. It's a surprise birthday dinner for my twin brother, organized by one of the girls in that group, and they've invited me as a guest. One of them also said in the group that it would be nice to see me as well, so I just feel like an afterthought. I wouldn't really have minded if the girls wanted to organize a surprise birthday evening exclusively for my brother and themselves, but they've also invited my partner and some of my brother and I's closest friends. This feels inconsiderate and quite upsetting, as I can't understand why I would be invited to my literal twin brother's surprise birthday dinner with me only invited as a guest, as it's also my birthday involving all of our friends. My girlfriend also found this action to be extremely rude and wondered why this girl didn't just reach out to her, and then they could have organized a surprise involving both of us instead, or having just involved both my brother and I and left the surprise element out of it. In the chat, it's clearly stated that we are all to arrive at one time, while my brother is due to arrive 20 minutes later. The thought of attending makes me feel weird because it's just a celebration for his birthday, when he and I are literally born on the same day. This isn't new information to the organizer. Also, every year my brother and I do something together because we want to, and because we have the same friends. Last year, our friends and my girlfriend set up a massive dinner for our birthday to which everyone was invited, including the girl group. So now I'm at a crossroads. I don't know whether or not to attend. On one hand, if I don't go, I'll feel left out because our mutual friends are going. But on the other hand, if I do go, I'll feel like I'm letting myself be disrespected, and I'll likely feel uncomfortable as it feels like only my brother is being celebrated. So, would I be the a-hole if I took a stand and didn't go? Well, I don't know. I think you should be there for your brother's birthday party. I mean, you're twin brothers after all. You usually do things together. How would your brother feel if you were only invited as a guest? I'm sure he would probably just not like that. It sounds like these girls are closer to him and trying to ambush him for some reason. And yeah, I get it. I think there needs to be some conversation in that group. Just say, hey, we do stuff together. I feel disrespected. Communicate. Tell them about it. If they get snippy or just, angry with you, then you got every reason to boycott this. Maybe not spill to your brother about the plans. That would be the a-hole maneuver.
Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.